Rundown with Rob Sanders.
Well, we're waiting.
Oh, welcome into the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400 around the world on the iHeartRadio app. My name is Rob Sanders. I come to you every day here at 3 o'clock. Be sure to check us out every day. I have to admit, I'll share with you a piece of my existence for a second here, okay? So I've been working hard to get a lot healthier. All right. So I've been eating healthier food, and then I got back into my CrossFit training and doing great stuff with my CrossFit team and all that. But last night I made the mistake of trying to play basketball with young men that are far younger than I am. And they proceeded to beat the ever-living snot out of me. Full court basketball is not what you should be doing with your life once you reach a certain age. It's just not. Anyway, I didn't look too silly, but man, these guys were knocking me around like I was silly. But anyway, so I've been like playing in a fog today, but we're going to have a good show for you. We're going to look at some of the talented position groups in 2022, according to one report. One team has 2 of the top 7. I wonder who that will be. We'll get into that. We may talk a minute about Dustin Johnson and the LIV tour, I think is what they're calling it. And I can explain to you why he went. And some people are upset, and they're just going to have to deal with it. But you know what? Yesterday we were talking about projected wins for certain teams, and we got into Tennessee. And there were people talking to me about Tennessee should win 8 games, 9 games. Someone called and said they're going to win 10 games. I don't know exactly how the Vols are going to do. They are one of the teams that is, in my opinion, they're the toughest to figure out because I do think they're going to have a good offense, but I think the defense is going to be not very good. So, yeah, I don't know, but we're going to get into the projections. These came from DraftKings, and we'll do the little over-under thing with where do you think that each team should be. And, of course, you can respond immediately at 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. Peg and Megan says, that was a subconscious slip by you, Rob. You realize you just said cross-dress training. I did? My bad. CrossFit, sir. You want to come work out with me, let me know. We can work that out. Anyway, 803-978-1832. We'll start with the Vanderbilt Commodores. The Commodores check in with 2.5 wins, according to DraftKings. Yeah. I tell you what, they start the season on the road at Hawaii. There is some hope for Vanderbilt. They inked the number 32 overall recruiting class under their coach, Clark Lee. And I know people are like, man, 32, way to go. It's not going to get you very far. But the reality is that they getting 32 for Vanderbilt is pretty impressive. They have them at 2.5 wins. We shall see on that one. If I had to bet, I would go with the over and get them 3 wins. Mississippi State at 6.5 wins. So, according to this report, they face the toughest schedule in 2022 and could face as many as 7 nationally ranked opponents. The finale at Ole Miss in the Egg Bowl may determine if this wins total is surpassed or falls behind. So, I think that Mike Leach in year 3, he generally gets it right. We shall see on that. 6.5. I'm going to take the under. I think I'm going to go with 6 wins for Mississippi State. The Missouri Tigers, they've got them at 5.5. You know, it's kind of a put up or shut up year. Eli Drinkowitz pulling up to recruit kids in a dump truck. I mean, he's done some silly things like that He's trying to make waves up there in Columbia, Missouri. I don't know how great they're going to be, but 5.5, I think I would take the under with Mizzou. Ole Miss at 7.5. You know, I do think they're going to start the schedule. They could probably go 4-0 in October. So they could be 7-0 heading to LSU. They could be. We'll see on that one, but I think I'm gonna go with the over and have Ole Miss at 8. Kentucky Wildcats. This one's funny to me because last season Kentucky won 10 games. When you looked at their schedule, though, they had, in my opinion, the easiest schedule in the SEC. They really, really did. First of all, they don't schedule Power 5 teams outside of the region. It's pretty much Louisville, and that's it. They had trouble with the Snake. Remember that? Where UT Chattanooga almost went in there and got them. Missouri gave them a heck of a game. They lost to Georgia. I think they lost to Mississippi State, and I can't remember the other loss. Now, they're going to tell you, yeah, we beat the Florida Gators. We know what Florida was last year. They're going to tell you we beat LSU. We know what LSU was last year. They're at 7.5 is the projection here. And the writer for this article says, this is one of the safest bets this season. Go ahead and pencil in 8 wins for the Wildcats, thanks to a favorable slate by SEC standards. If they beat Louisville again, which they should, that's 4 victories in the non-conference and the potential of 4 others coming in this 5-game stretch of toss-ups. At Ole Miss, South Carolina at home, Mississippi State, at Mizzou, and Vanderbilt. The Gamecocks have not beaten the Wildcats in Lexington since 2012, by the way. And then, of course, keep an eye on quarterback Will Levis, who's getting first-round buzz in the 2023 NFL Draft. I read that, and you know what? I think Big Barney Ross stopped writing jokes and started writing football talk. That sounds like something Big Barney Ross would tell me. And then he'd tell me, you think about it, and then hang up on me. I honestly kind of believe that. I don't know if Kentucky's going to win 8 games. 7.5, I'm taking the under. Give me the Wildcats at 7. Auburn projected win total is 6.5. Let's all be honest with each other for a second here. What do you really know about Auburn besides Tank Bigsby? Seriously. What do you really know about Auburn besides Tank Bigsby? Not much. You know Brian Harson's there. You know the majority of the Auburn boosters, they don't want him there. So I don't know what all Auburn's going to have. It seems like that program is either going to, Harson's either going to get the duct tape out, spray it with some WD-40, and keep them right, or they're going to explode one way or the other. So I'm going to go with the under and have Auburn at 6 wins. The South Carolina Gamecocks are next on the list. Their projected win total is 6, and they call for it to be even. I think the Gamecocks are winning 7 games at least. So I'm not saying they're going to go crazy. Some Gamecock fans on some of the message boards, we're going to win 10 games. Let's slow down a little bit. Slow down. And a lot of it, by the way, hinges on what happens with Spencer Rattler as far as keeping him upright and the offensive line. I do admire the defense and some of the players that they've got there, and it's time for some of them to come to their what they were projected to be. Hello, Jordan Birch. So we'll see how that works out, but I think 7 wins is about right for South Carolina. Texas A&M, their projected win total is 8.5. That's over 8 wins. Good old 8-win Jimbo Fisher. I'll take the under there. Florida, their projected win total is 7. I don't think the Gators have enough depth. I really don't. And I think they're going to lose the first game of the season. And there may be some people that are looking at Napier and thinking, you know what? What happened here? Because I think Utah's going to pop them. So I'm going to take the under there. Arkansas is at 7.5. It could go either way with Arkansas. So here's what we're going to do. Since Sam Pittman seems like he's just a regular guy that can hang out at Waffle House and have some hash browns, I'll go with Arkansas going over 7.5. The Tennessee Volunteers strap in. Yesterday, who was it? I can't remember. Was it Dr. Vol called and we're going to win 10 games. It's going to happen. Here's what this report says on Tennessee. 7.5 is the projections. They say take the over. There's value in the over here if you're a believer in Tennessee this season. Let's take a look at the 50-50 games on the schedule. Florida at LSU on October the 8th. Kentucky on October the 29th at Kentucky. That's at home. And then they play at South Carolina November 19th. If you're confident the Vols can at worst go 3-1 over that 4-game portion with the losses this season coming to Alabama and Georgia, well, you got your 9 wins and a comfortable over. Josh Heupel has this program on the come up, and a 7-5 finish, considering the hype, would be a disappointment. I leave that for you Tennessee fans who were upset with me yesterday. By the way, I didn't write that. Just saying. This is from 247 Sports, by the way. I didn't write it. Let's make sure we get it out there because people think I have something against Tennessee because I said they have a gimmick offense and I said their baseball team is going to run into a junk left-hander and they're not going to win the College World Series. And everyone got upset by that and thinks that I have like just this whole thing where I don't like Tennessee. No, just point out things. And if you don't like it, sorry. It's just what I see, man. Remember, was it Tennessee State, whoever it was that beat Tennessee this year in a midweek game? Yeah, how'd they do it? Did it with a pitcher that didn't have the velocity that the normal batters face throughout the season. So there's that. Anyway, we could talk about some baseball in a moment. Jay says mustard is just a binder. Very good. Very good. That might be the comment of the day, Jay. All right. 803-978-1832. The LSU Tigers at 7 wins. Now, when I look at, they've got Auburn at 6.5 wins, Texas A&M at 8.5 wins, Arkansas at 7.5 wins. You can't have all these 7-win teams in the West because they play each other. It's not going to shake out that way. So you know what? I think the Brian Kelly era is either going to be feast or famine. They're going to win either 10 games or they're going to win 6 games. So I wouldn't touch that one. But if you had to make me do it, I'd probably take the over. And the final 2 teams in the mix here, the Georgia Bulldogs at 10.5. 10.5 wins. I think that is solid. Toughest game they'll play before the SEC championship game is the opener against Oregon. The rest of the schedule is the SEC least and is not very impressive. Georgia should win every SEC East game by 17 points or more. They are that talented. It's just the way that it is. They're 17 points better than Oregon. That's what the line is that's out there right now. I bet you that line will be at 23 by kickoff. Not saying Oregon doesn't have a snowball's chance in hell, but Oregon doesn't have a snowball's chance in hell. They really don't. So I'm taking the over with the Georgia Bulldogs. Alabama's also at 10.5. It's not really a reach to say, hey, they're going to win more than 10.5 games. I mean, a 10-win season for Alabama with the roster they have is a disappointment. Absolute disappointment. So comments from the chat room. Jetmex says, what accent is Brian Kelly using this week? That's a good point. It's a good point. I heard him say SEC conference, total Yankee. He's not going to last at LSU. Might be right. Or they go out and win 10 games this year. He'll be their adopted Yankee. There'll be a YouTube video of him out there hunting gators and stuff. That'll happen. Peg and Megan says, I can't disagree with 10.5. Daddy-O says Brian Kelly will be too distracted trying to keep the Cajun accent until December. Man, I tell you what, LSU fans get upset when you bring that up. Oof. They also get upset when you tell them, you realize you've got what, the second highest paid coach in the country, and after Thanksgiving, his teams really don't show up. You know, the time of the year where it actually matters. He doesn't have teams that have done very well there. They don't like that. They just don't like that. Alan asks, who is UGA losing to? I don't think anyone in the regular season. I mean, find me a game on that schedule that you think that you're confident that Georgia will lose. You could talk about, hey, going to South Carolina might be tough. I don't know. The game in Jacksonville is always interesting, but if we're just doing it on paper and we're taking emotions out of it, and we're overlooking the fact that Stetson Bennett has to put on another superhero type season, I think he's got to be better than he was last year. Not a superhero type season. He's got to put up some numbers this year, though. But if he does, I don't see a team on that schedule that's going to beat Georgia. Really don't. 803-978-1832. Arter Wolf online says Tennessee may go 8-4 or 9-3. Okay. Tennessee season, by the way, hinges on that Pitt matchup. That's gonna determine whether they go to, I don't know, a higher level bowl or the Music City Bowl again. Seriously. If they go to Pitt and they lose that game, in addition to several people that will just be laughing hysterically, how can you lose to Pitt 2 years in a row? Oh, and by the way, they don't have Kenny Pickett. They don't have their Biletnikoff award-winning wide receiver. How does that happen? That's not a conversation Tennessee fans want to have. It really isn't. So with that, I think that's the hinge game. If they win that game, they may be off to the races. Still think they get popped by Georgia. Still think they get popped by Alabama. The rest of the matchups, you can make an argument that they'll be right there in the mix. I think they beat Florida this year, by the way. I think they can beat LSU. It's on the road, but I think they can win there. The Kentucky game, they always beat Kentucky. Beat Kentucky last year, and Kentucky won 10 games. And, of course, that's South Carolina. Now, they're not going to have the luxury of Jordan Burch running a trick play for them. That's not going to happen. I can almost assure you of that. It's just not going to happen. 803-978-1832. Quick break, and we come back. We'll take your calls on this and the most talented position groups in college football. 803-978-1832. 803-978-1832. That is the number to dial if you'd like to join us here on the rundown. By the way, Twitter poll question today is up at Rob Sounds Good on Twitter. I asked which ACC coach is on the hottest seat this year. Right now, Mike Norvell leads the way, followed by Jeff Collins and Dino Babers. More of the rundown when we come back. This is Fox Sports Radio 1400. I'll give you the super regional matchups in a minute. Tennessee should beat Pitt this year. Andre Johnson. Welcome back to the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400 803 978 1832 803 978 1832. That is the number to dial if you'd like to join us here on the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400. Of course, around the world on the iHeartRadio app. Of course, you're welcome to join us as we roll along. By the way, for folks listening on the iHeartRadio app, there's a talkback feature there. If you want to just call up and just rant and rave about something that I said, just hit the talkback feature there. I'll play all of them. I don't care. Obviously, if you drop F-bombs, that's not going to make the air. But the reality is that we'll be happy to play some of these. Some of them are going to be good, I'm sure. Talkback feature. It's on the iHeartRadio app. Just look for Fox Sports Radio 1400. There's a microphone there. Tap the microphone. Yell at me that you hate my existence. We'll play them on the air. Simple as that. Johnny says if Heupel does win 9 games, he will be out at Tennessee. He'll probably get offered a better job. Oh. So what Johnny is saying is that there are better jobs out there than Tennessee. Imagine that. Remember back in the day when Tennessee was like the marquee job? You wanted to go there. You know, that orange tea. Maybe not so much anymore, according to Johnny anyway. What job would be better than Tennessee and go somewhere else? I mean, seriously. I don't get that. I have to read Big Barney Ross's comment here, too. I was born a male. I identify as a male, but according to Stouffer's portions, I'm a family of 4. Give me the Salisbury steak, sir. I'm with you. 803-978-1832. 803-978-1832. We just did win projections for the SEC. I've got another thing on the most talented position groups in 2022. One team has two of the most talented position groups in the country. And we'll get into that in a moment. Elijah's comments is, I mean, in all seriousness, what job would be better than Tennessee that would be open after next year? I think Elijah's right. But then again, you never know what's going to open up. No clue on that. But, I mean, you're going to leave Tennessee? Out to the phones we go. Welcome into the Rundown. Good afternoon.
Rob, sir, how are you?
What's up? How are you, man?
Well, first of all, I want to address that Tennessee comment from Johnny.
Yep.
Much like you, I'm old enough to remember when nobody wanted to coach Alabama because they were terrible too.
Alabama fans seem to forget the days of Derek Lassick and the coach that was a liar from Washington State. They seem to forget those days when they weren't very good. Those days didn't happen if you ask Alabama fans. No, well, and when they were put on probation because they got caught paying Albert Means and they were going 2-10, that didn't happen either. That didn't happen. You, sir, are spreading some CNN news, man. Don't be coming on the program spreading that. That's exactly what Alabama fans would say. Well, that guy obviously works for CNN. That's what they would say because they didn't have a 2-10 season. Get out of here.
Well, it happened whether they like it or not.
Exactly.
I mean, people deal with it. It's how college football works. Teams go on a run and then they cool off. It's the cycle of college football.
That's a fair statement.
You know, I talk to a Alabama fan regularly on YouTube, and I get immense pleasure from reminding him that no, Nick Saban is not the greatest coach ever. He'll never catch Tom Osborne.
Okay. I bet that's an interesting conversation. But anyway, go ahead. What else you got?
I wanted to. You were talking about ACC coaches on the hot seat.
Yep.
I think Jeff Collins is. I actually don't think Mike Norvell is at all.
Well, I can kind of. I mean, on the surface, I could kind of agree with you, but when I'm looking at the Twitter poll right now, he leads at 68%. Collins is in second, followed by Dino Babers. Collins won 9 games in 3 years. How are you not on the hot seat winning 9 games in 3 years? I don't care if you're running around with your Waffle House cup or not. That's not impressive.
Right. Well, the reason I say what I do about Norvell is because I'm a Miami fan, so I do talk to a lot of Florida State fans.
Sure.
And there was so much dysfunction behind the scenes that didn't get made public as far as Willie Taggart was concerned, that they just knew going into it, it was going to take Norvell a few years just to straighten out his mess.
Hey, can I ask you a question? You're a Miami fan. Were you upset when a good portion of your fan base went on to become Florida fans?
I mean, Miami fans have kind of always been fair weather fans. Let's be honest.
Fair enough.
I mean, part of it has to do. I know a lot of people like to troll that, you know, Miami fans don't go to games because, you know, it's the city of Miami and there's other stuff to do. Right. Yes, there's more to do in Miami than there is in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. That's a fact, whether people like it or not.
Yeah, that's true. And we're going to see how that goes, but you're probably right. I mean, there's more to do in Miami. I'm with you on that. But if I want to get if winning national titles is important to me, I'm going to go to Alabama right now. I think that's important.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I'm not doubting that at all. And I draw a lot of parallels between Tennessee and Miami and the predicaments they've been in over the past 15 or so years, because both of them have done the exact same thing, and neither one of them can see why it's not working. I mean, Miami is going into their 18th season in the ACC, and they're on head coach number 6. No program is going to succeed that way.
Consistency is generally key, man. You got to keep your coach in for a while. Hey, man, I appreciate you calling, buddy. I got to move on, but thank you so much.
Yeah, boss, anytime.
All right, man. Have a good day.
You too.
Welcome into the rundown. Good afternoon.
I love Slim Shady, and I can't.
You love Slim Shady? Did you like Eminem's early stuff? Oh, we're talking about Slim Shady, the caller. Oh, okay, I got you. My bad. Go ahead.
Previous caller. And I have to say, there is more to do in Miami than Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Like, run for your life.
Yeah, there was a headline of that I had, like, I cut it out because it was Miami practice. It was like Miami Hurricanes shot at practice, players return fire. And that's a real headline. I don't know how that happens, but hey, whatever.
It is a third world country, and I'm sorry, I'm no Bama fan. Give me Tuscaloosa all day, every day over anything near Miami. But listen, I'm going to warn you, Rob. I'm coming in a little bit hot today. So just, I don't know. In the words of Deshaun Watson, please just let me finish. Okay.
Fair enough.
You had some valedictorian call in yesterday, calling himself Dr. Vol. Sir, first of all, the title doctor doesn't belong within 10 miles of your name, period. This guy said Tennessee was going to win 10 games this year. the last time Tennessee won 10 games, the Spice Girls were atop of the music charts. I don't. This is exactly the kind of inbred, drunken hillbilly that Tennessee's been running from as far as their image. The guy absolutely made an idiot of himself. And of course, he mentions Uncle Lou. Big surprise that the drunken idiot is an Uncle Lou fan. They probably met at an AA meeting somewhere.
Oof.
Which, side note, when is Uncle Lou going to finally land that gig on The View? I mean, the last 7 years on YouTube basically been one big tryout for The View. I can see him on national TV. Can't you just see him fondling Joy Behars, whatever her last name is, fondling her manhood? That would fit in perfectly. He'd fit in great with all the leftist aging hacks on that show. It's ridiculous, 10 games in a season. Or Tennessee. What was it, 2007 when they did that? Come on. Fergie was big in 2007.
Well, remember, Tennessee, like, what was it, 3 seasons ago? Was it 3 or 4 seasons ago? They didn't win a conference game, which means they lost to Vanderbilt. And they're talking about a 10-win season, and you lost to Vanderbilt like 4 seasons ago? Come on.
Yeah, he was a real Mensa student. That's a poster child for Uncle Lou's fan base, by the way. But, hey, I was thinking about something over the weekend. I was at a party, and as usual, Double O's sister was getting passed around, and I thought about old Double O. I have not heard from him recently. I don't know if he's back in the state pen where he belongs, or if he still calls and I'm just missing him. Have you heard from Double O? Or
you don't want to open that can of worms. Double O's on fire, man. Just saying. You really want to open up that can of worms? No. You really want to open up that can of worms? He'll be calling up here giving you the what for, sir.
Yeah, giving me the what for. Speaking of old dried up, dusty, stale, crusty, delusional lizard fans, where is Hollywood? I haven't heard from him recently.
I mean, he's probably down in Jacksonville dodging bullets and trying to get gas for less than $8 a gallon.
Yeah, I miss his spot on predictions. His game predictions were as spot on as Uncle Lou's political predictions.
And you're just all over the place today, man. My goodness.
Yeah, I just miss some of these old callers. I've got to, I work for a living. I can't get on YouTube, dress up in ridiculous costumes and beg for money for a job. I've got to do something real. So I don't get a chance to call very often. I touched on Mr. Deshaun Money Shot Watson earlier.
Yep.
Listen, this latest incident, did it recently happen, or was it just something that happened along the lines of all these old ones?
And here's the thing with that. The last incident, she said that she watched the Real Sports piece on him, and when she did, it inspired her to come out because something had happened to her, and she wanted to join the other women that had made the accusations against Watson.
Okay, because at this point, if you give Deshaun Watson a massage, that's on you. That's like going drinking with a Kennedy. You ought to know by now it's like sharing secrets with the Clintons.
It's like if you get in a car with a Kennedy, you should check the trunk first.
Yeah, exactly. At this point, that's on you. So I'm glad that wasn't a new case. That makes me feel better that nobody was that stupid.
No, and and his attorney made the comment about there are happy ending massages. Why would you say that if you're his attorney? Deshaun Watson needs to send him a cease and desist. Shut the hell up about that. No one needs to hear that.
Yeah, Tennessee could have granted him one of their attorneys. That might have worked out better for him.
I mean, they got Peyton Manning off when he did his thing. I'm just saying, people don't want to talk about that. We can't really talk about that, but
he likes his tea, doesn't he?
He certainly does. Anything else for the program, sir?
43-18, Rob.
You have a great day. Peg and Megan just basically roasted everyone. I don't know. Peg and Megan must be having a bad day. Someone take the rubber band off his thumb. It's okay, man. More of the rundown when we get back. This is Fox Sports Radio 1400. Yes, his attorney talked about happy endings. That is not a joke. It's insane. Jay, how did you measure Peyton Manning's forehead And how do you determine how long a taint is? These are all questions I'm having for you, sir. You know, I got to get you a special autograph tank top. I want one that's bedazzled for you, Uncle Lou. We got to make sure that for your audience, you deserve the bedazzled end of it with a picture of Carolina Jackpot's face. So let me work on that. Yeah, I don't remember the Jerry Jones thing, but you might be right about that. That's insane. Peyton Manning, though, with what he allegedly did to that trainer, wow. Elijah might have a point. I think your defense is not going to be that good, though. You're going to have serious issues with defense. Welcome back to the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400 around the world in the iHeartRadio app. 803-978-1832. Out to the phones we go. Welcome into the show.
Hey, it's Big Barney Ross. I just wanted to call in and set the record straight for Kentucky. Now, 7.5, 8 games, it doesn't matter. 10 wins and championships, we say that for the rich kids. Now, look, Kentucky's got fried chicken and bourbon. You know, these other states don't have that. Honestly, if we can win 6 games and go to a bowl game, set something on fire like a couch and drink some bourbon, we're satisfied. But I got a question for you, and I'll get off here and listen to what you got to say. Who's had more members, the Tennessee Vols coaching staff or the band Slipknot? Big Barney Ross, y'all think about it. I'm out.
He does have a very valid point there. Look, Kentucky fans, by the way, deep down in their soul, deep down in the cockles of their heart, the depths of their colon, all right, they'll tell you point blank, look, we really don't care about the football team. We understand that it draws a lot of money and we need to have somewhat of a representable football program. But in reality, we would take Mark Stoops' baby powder money and give it to the basketball program in a nanosecond because that's the only thing they care about. Seriously. Just the way that it is. They don't want a good football program up there. They don't. They're still upset that Calipari basically stole $8 million from him last year to not even give him an end of the season press conference where he took calls on his call-in show. You know, like every other coach in the country does. They're upset more about that than they are about Rodriguez missing the first 5 games of the season. Kentucky fans don't care. Going into the football seasons like the dead season, they're just hoping that they're above 500 when Midnight Madness starts. That's what they want. That way they can show a nice football video up there. Look at us. We're 3-3. Yay. Congratulations. All right, now let's see what our 4th string guard does. Somebody make sure the ball boy is on point. That ball boy missed a wet spot over there. That's not going to happen. Get a new one. I don't care if we're paying him $45,000 to wipe up the sweat off the floor. You get us a new one. That's what Kentucky wants. They don't really care. And something else too, and I hate to break this to folks, but the Tennessee football fans, they would trade away this number 1 seed in the tournament to go and sit at home like Mizzou this year. If they knew that Tennessee would beat Alabama in football this year and beat Georgia as well, they'd do it. They wouldn't even talk about it. Baseball. They don't care about that. Let's go out to the phones. Welcome into the rundown. Good afternoon.
What in the heck is going on here today?
Lots of things.
This is Uncle Lou here.
Hello.
I just got a call. From an investigator over at the Feelings Police that says someone called you up and accused me of assault.
I don't think someone accused you of assault. I don't think that's what he said.
Well, I don't know why. The Feelings Police?
Did.
I don't know why. I don't know why the Feelings Police would tell me that. I have to disagree about Kentucky not caring about football. I think that might have been true a few years ago.
Sure.
You know, the raise they just gave Stoops. I don't know about lots of people got new salaries for this year, but if you take what Mark Stoops is making this year, last year he would have been the ninth highest paid coach in all of football.
Yeah, that's valid too. I mean, but they're getting SEC TV money, so they got to spend some money there anyway, right?
Yeah. I think. I mean, if you ranked all the teams in the SEC like on how much they care about football, Kentucky probably still be in the bottom half. But I think Kentucky cares a lot more about football now than they did at any point in the past.
Hey, well, okay. I mean, but they didn't really care about it in the past, sir. Now they're just hoping to go to a bowl game. So
no, I get it, but you can't go from nothing to like carrying on an Alabama scale overnight. They're headed in the right direction, is what I'm saying. Yeah. Don't you think if they keep Stoops, they're going to continue to be an 8+ win team a year?
Yeah, I think 8 wins is the ceiling for them, though. I don't see them getting. They may one or two seasons branch out and get 9 or 10 wins, but let's be honest, it's going to take decades to get into the conversation of, hey, we're going to be in competition for the East every year. It's going to take a while.
Oh, yeah. I don't think that'll happen, but the East every year. But,
right.
I mean, they're a game away right now from a New Year's Six Bowl.
Yeah, but I think you and I will agree that their schedule last year, the way it's set up, was the easiest in the conference. And they don't schedule anyone in the out of conference, so they can balloon it to 10 wins. But just the way the home and away games set up last year, they had an easy schedule. They really did.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And then, of course, when they played Georgia, they got blowed out again.
Well, and their fans were still printing T-shirts. We scored on the Georgia defense. So, I mean,
right.
That shows you where their football mentality is. Yay, we scored on Georgia's defense. Now, some teams didn't do that, and I guess you should get something for that. But in the end, I mean, they got a long way to go.
Yeah, no, I agree. I just, it just picking on Kentucky feels like, it feels like bullying the special needs kid or something. Kentucky is trying, is what I'm saying.
Well, I apologize.
Kentucky
to the
today is nowhere near as abysmal as it was 5, 6, 15, 20, 30, or 40 years ago.
Well, what's a better job, Kentucky or South Carolina right now?
That's debatable. That's close.
That's very close. So with the money that they're pouring into it, but I think the South Carolina fans want more football than the Kentucky fans do, though. But that's just
who gets drafted higher, Will Levis or Spencer Rattler?
Spencer Rattler, without question, Spencer Rattler.
All right, well, I'll bet you. We'll bet $1 on it. Give me Will Levis.
Fair enough. Well,
all right, buddy. Talk to you later.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Bye.
Yeah, I think that Spencer Rattler is going to go higher than Will Levis. I'm not on Spencer I'm not on the Will Levis train. All right, more of the rundown. We come back. I've got to get to the most talented position groups. This was interesting. And someone asked me to read these super regional matchups. We'll have that for you in just a moment. This is the rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400. Octavian joined the program. Fair enough. Yeah, I don't. There's something going on in the water up there at Clemson because they picked up some guys. The offensive lineman that they picked up today is like, I think, one of the top 25 tackles in the country. Yeah, that's a mess. As far as them getting that guy, because generally Clemson doesn't get massive offensive lineman recruits. So there's that. Final segment of the rundown this afternoon on Fox Sports Radio 1400. I will give you the super regional matchups in just a moment. Before we get there, though, I really wanted to get into this today. And this is a report on the most talented position groups in 2022. And I've got this because there are, we were talking about Georgia and how I don't see them losing a game in the regular season. They listed 7 position groups in this report. Georgia has 2 of them. One of them at number 7 is the offensive line. They talked about the 3 sophomore starters that are coming back. Broderick Jones taking over at left tackle. One thing that they've done well at Georgia is the offensive line. And right now, according to this report, they've got one of the best in the country. And then number 1 is the tight end segment. I say segment, the tight end room. All right. Brock Bowers, who was running over people last year. And then you got Eric Gilbert. I mean, they've got Oscar Delp. I mean, they've got a ton of great tight ends. So they're at 7-1. And that's why on the offensive side of the ball, Georgia's going to be stout. Number 6 is Alabama's defensive backfield. And, when you really stop and look at it, Jordan Battle, DeMarco Hillams, Brian Branch, Malachi Moore, they're going to have some guys that are just dudes, man. They really are. Texas with their running backs, Bijan Robinson. Someone wrote this article. I didn't bring it up because I had to let it marinate for a minute. But they made an argument that Texas, for them to actually hang with Alabama, the way they're going to do it is just with their running game and slowing down that Alabama offense by keeping them off the field. I can buy into that. Oh, by the way, Alabama's linebackers are also on the list. I forgot that. They're at number 4. Number 3 is Ohio State's wide receivers. And, you can't really argue that. They've got guys that can go up and catch some passes. With you on that. Clemson's defensive line is senior. It's lots of upperclassmen with Miles Murphy, Brian Brzee, Xavier Thomas. KJ Henry is a 5th-year senior. So they've got a lot of guys who've been around the program for a long time. And the defensive line is not going to be a weakness there for the Tigers. They're going to be one of the best in the country. So with that, I thought that was interesting, especially on the offensive side of the ball with Georgia with 2 of the top 7. Alabama, of course, with 2 of the top 4 on on the defensive side of the ball. So, yeah, going to be interesting. And by the way, when we step back, if you're completely honest with yourself, if we don't have an Alabama-Georgia SEC championship game, then something has had to have happened. That's something Stetson Bennett decides to throw for 10 interceptions on the year, something like that. Injuries. Nick Saban decides in the middle of the season he doesn't want to coach anymore. That's kind of where we're at on that front. And to have that matchup of that Alabama linebacking core trying to deal with the tight ends from Georgia, regardless of what fan of a football team you are, you kind of have to like that. I mean, I want to see that. Can those linebackers try to stay with those tight ends? And, the Alabama secondary too. That's going to be one of the greatest college matchups of the season if we get it in the SEC championship game. Who doesn't want to see that? 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. That is the number to dial if you'd like to join us here on the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400. Big Bonnie Ross says Texas A&M has paid to play in the championship. I didn't know you could buy that. That's sort of like one of those passes where you get into Disney, right? Yeah. I don't know. Maybe you can buy your way into the SEC championship game. We'll find out. By the way, did you caught the story with Ryan Day telling people, hey, we need $13 million in NIL money if we want to stay on par? How do you say that in public? Wow. All right. Anyway, of course, you're always welcome to join the program, 803-978-1832. Super regional matchups really quickly here before we get out of here. You had 5 SEC teams are in the super regionals, 4 ACC teams. Tennessee and Notre Dame up top, followed by Texas and East Carolina. I was hoping the Chanticleers would have made their way around, but they lost to the Pirates yesterday. Texas A&M and Louisville, another ACC-SEC matchup, followed by Oklahoma and Virginia Tech. Stanford and UConn, that's interesting. North Carolina and Arkansas, Ole Miss and Southern Miss, and Auburn and Oregon State. There are your super regional matchups as we get ready for the weekend. So there you go on that. 803-978-1832. Actually, I'm about out of time. Show's flown by today. I didn't even get to talk about I will save this for tomorrow, by the way. The whole thing with Dustin Johnson saying, hey, I'm going to go and play in the Saudi back tour, giving up my PGA Tour card. By the way, for the people upset about that, it comes down to dollars, ladies and gentlemen. He got his tour card in 2004, and he made $74 million since 2004. That sounds great, right? Yeah, he's going to make $125 million for joining this other golf league. I don't know how they're going to be able to sustain it, giving guys like that much money. I know they got Kevin Na, Phil Mickelson, etc. Maybe that's the way they're going to go. The PGA Tour is going to have to lay some wood down. What I mean by that is they're going to have to tell some of these majors, don't let those guys play in it. Otherwise, this other league may just keep chipping away at them. But if I get $75 million more than I've made in my entire career to go play somewhere else, it's probably what I'm going to do. There's allegations of crack pipe smoking in the chat room. I don't know where that's going. 803-9. I can't even go to that. I've got to get out of the show, man. Appreciate you guys. Clemson Sports Talk is next. We'll be back tomorrow right here on the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400. Appreciate you guys, man. Chat room's on fire today. My goodness. All right, we'll be back at it tomorrow. You guys stay safe out there. All right, it's hot.